Hi, I'm president of Texas Clearwater Systems of Baytown, Texas, and we have been in the baptistry business now since 1988. We built our first system called Baptismal System 1 in 1988, and we have been in production ever since. That gives us almost going on 29 years of very, very successful operation and systems. To my knowledge, every system we've ever sold in these almost 29 years is still out there working, and only one that we know of that was caught in a church fire is no longer in existence and operation. That's quite a record. It's quite a substantial record to have these systems operate that long and keep going. In fact, not too many months ago, the very first system that we built as a prototype came in for repair, and all we had to do was replace a clock and a relay. After all these years, since 1980, actually that was put in late 1987. These systems just go and go and go. They're so tough and work so well, and we just really have not been able to improve on them. And they were what we would call in the industry a mechanical system. In other words, they operate by mechanical devices such as clocks and contactors and other forms of switches. And through the years, they've just been really great. Our pastors, probably 90% of our sales come from pastors who have them. And in fact, one pastor who has pastored 5 different churches has, in each church, as soon as he got there, called and ordered a system for the new church that he was pastoring. So they have a tremendous reputation. However, through the years, in trying to see how we can improve them, we really could only find one thing that we could improve on the mechanical system through the years, and that was to put a digital readout on the control. We did that about 8-9 years ago, something like that. And that's the only thing we could do to improve the quality and the care of the system. However, through the years, there has been, if you want to call it, 2 very minor complaints, and they were just that, because nothing is perfect. And that is the pumps, which operated on 9.6 amps. We had to provide a pump that had enough head pressure to put pressure through the Venturi T, which is this T right here, Venturi. Had to put enough pressure through it to create a 15-pound vacuum on the suction side of it to pull the ozone into the water. And so because of having to have a pump with 9.6 amps and high pressure and head pressure and so forth, the pump would create a certain level of noise, and to a point to where you would not want to have it running during the church service. So that was one of the small complaints that we had through the years. And the second thing was the clocks, the mechanical clocks. We had a 7-day clock and a 24-hour clock, 24 to operate the filtration, 7-day to operate the heating. We found that basically they kept very good time, but no mechanical clock ever seems to keep a perfect time for years and years. And then also power failure would cause a person to have to go back and reset those clocks. Those were the 2 things that through the years, if there was complaints, they complained about, and yet the system did so well and operated so well that that really was not a deterrent to them buying the system. However, we have kept that in mind, and knowing that we would like to improve on that. So finally, about 2 years ago, we began researching, trying to find a way to go totally digital as much as possible on the system, and to where that we could have and overcome some of these things that we just talked about. And we were very blessed. We made a contract with a company out of California that has been in the control systems for 35 years. Very reputable company, and God really blessed us to make contact with him, and then also with another company in San Diego, California, to do something better regarding our ozonation systems. And so, starting with these 2 major players, we began to put together what we call now Baptismal System 2. We just basically came up with a total new package that you're going to love, and this new package will operate off of your smartphone. In other words, you can do all the settings right in your palm of your hand. Wherever your cell phone will operate, you can operate and plan and set the system. You do not have a smartphone, or if you would rather, you can also set the system with the digital control that you will mount on the edge of the baptistry. This control will give you as a little screen that tells you everything that you're doing, temperature of the water, the setting of the time, all of those things, along with the set buttons and so forth. It even has a button set if you want to put a light in your baptistry. If you will tell us, we will send you the cord with it where you can actually operate a light in your baptistry if you so desire. We had one customer here last week that informed us that he wanted to put an LED light in his baptistry. So we will send him with his system, we will send him the cord for that. So this system offers many features that we did not have with the original one. Now, one of the main factors of this new system is the pump. The pump on the Baptismal System 1 operated on 9.6 amps and had to, because we had to create a very high head pressure to make the water create the 15-pound vacuum into this injection system for the ozone. However, as I said, God blessed us with a company that provided us with a new product, which we'll talk about shortly, that now has the ability to pump the ozone into the system through this very spot, the same place, only do so now, instead of having a pump operation doing it, we have an air pump that's actually pushing the ozone into the system. Now this pump is very good pump made by Waterway out in California, and it operates, if you were to read the label here, it operates on 0.8 to 0.9 amps, which is very small, where the other one operated on 9.6. So what happens is now this pump could run virtually all the time and cost almost nothing to run. The ozonation system right here, which we'll show you some more in a few minutes, operates on 0.42 amps. So you have an entire system, except for the heating, that is operating on less than 2 amps of electricity. So what does this tell you? Very energy efficient. We'll show you also later about the heater and some features about the heater. Now with the system, all the things that are on the table here come with the system. First of all, it comes with the suction, which also operates as the drain for your system. And our installation video will tell you how to hook that up to where this becomes both the suction for the system and the drain. It is an anti-vortex screen, which may not mean anything to you, but basically what that's saying is this screen is designed to not pull hair into it and twist it behind like a bathtub does. And there have been some drownings in baptistries where women's hair especially was pulled into the suction because the system was on during the baptismal. So this would prevent that if that was the case. Second of all, with the system will come, as we said earlier, with the Venturi jet. This little eyeball here gives you the ability to aim the direction of your water flow. This is where the water comes in from the system. This is where your ozone piping will go up to just under the lip of the baptistry to keep from ever having water sucked back down through into your ozonator. And so it comes with this jet. System also comes with 2 repairable ball valves built by Hayward. And these ball valves are made that you can totally repair them if you need to without cutting them out of the system. Inside you will see that they have a flippable seal. You can flip it over. It has O-rings on the handle, O-rings on the little, we'll take this apart for you. You can pop all this out, see everything is repairable about this entire ball valve, where you should never have to replace the ball valve. Doesn't mean that you might not have to service it, especially if you have calcium issues, and we'll talk about the calcium issues in a little while. But here it's also, as I said, O-ring is repairable. And then also another feature of this is to get the pressure on the ball that you want to keep it from drip leaking. You tighten this to the pressure that you want for the use or for the turning of the handle. So these are furnished, they're very expensive valves, but they're furnished with your system to where you don't have to replace them. Again, the pump comes with the couplings to glue in your 1.5-inch pipe. And you always want to remember that you never glue them in vertically. If you're going to glue a pipe to this fitting, you want to glue it like this, put your pipe in, twist it, give it a chance to set a little bit, and then put it on so that you never get glue or cleaner down in your pump, in your filter, in your heater, or any other part. That's very, very important. So again, you have a high flow, low pressure pump, suction, jet, valves. We furnish you with an extra filter. These filters are designed, they should last you. There's one in the canister, then an extra one supplied. This should last you, if you take care of them properly, as we recommend in the instructions. These filters should last you about 15 years, providing you handle your calcium issue. We are now also providing a new filter, different than the one we have in the past. It's a little shorter in height, but it has the same square footage. It has a little catch right here to keep your ring from loosening up. And so you can just simply take the filter apart right there. The filter's on the inside, and then you just simply snap it back to where it touches, and there's no way it can blow off. It comes with the couplings, does not have a drain. The other one had a drain. We found that by having the drain in the filter, often people used galvanized pipe fittings and so forth and broke the filter because the galvanized fittings are tapered. So we are now avoiding that by not putting a drain on the filter. In order to drain the filter now, instead of having the drain as we said we had previously, now we recommend that on either side of the filter, doesn't make any difference which one, that you install in your line a T, just like we see here. You'll put an 1.5-inch by 1/2-inch bushing into that. So you would put that in line level like that, and then you would install a little 1/2-inch ball valve to that, and then this would go to your sewer drain. And that way you have an isolation valve on this side of the system, another one on this side of the system. You isolate the system, the whole system, from the baptistry. You open up the bleeder valve on the filter, drain out the 1/2 gallon of water that is in here by opening up this drain, and then you don't have to have water going everywhere. And this will go directly to your sewer, and therefore you can drain this instead of having to drain your baptistry and so forth. You're simply draining out just the 1/2 gallon of water that's in here, and then you put your new filter in, and in probably less than 5 minutes time you can have replaced the filter, put a clean filter in, and you have your system back on and go. So here again, the new waterway filter. Just remember this, that if you have one of our baptismal system ones, the filter cartridge size is different. And so when you're ordering, make sure that you tell us that you have a baptismal system too if you are ordering filters. We also will furnish you with a block to put underneath your filter to raise it up to the level of the pump and the system. Now, one really beautiful thing about our new system, the old system, you had one direction in the heater and that was it. With our new systems, one of the nicest features about it, with the old system you had, and when I say old system, with the previous system, you had to go in the back and you had to go out the right hand end of the unit in order to plumb it. On this one here, it makes no difference. You can go in this side and out this side, or in this side and out this side. The system works either way. Now, if you'll notice, the system is made in a high pressure, high temperature plastic, so there's nothing to rust. The heater is in stainless steel, and the heater element itself is made out of titanium. I have a titanium knee in my leg, so you have an idea of how the quality of steel and titanium is. The intention is that this complete heater system will not corrode under any condition. Unlike in the previous system, we had to take and Teflon coat the heating coils, and then even with that sometimes a speck of rust would get through and they would begin to rust, and then of course you had to replace the heating coil. So we're hoping, and I think we'll find it to be true, that you should really never have to replace this heating coil, and that's a great feature of this system. Now we're going to take this cover off here, which comes off with 4 screws, which exposes the digital board and internal workings of the system. You'll notice that outside of one main contactor for the 220, everything else is digital, which is very important. We do have to have the mechanical flow switch. These are fail-safe devices to keep the system from overheating and melting down your piping. Everything about the system is easy to put together. You'll notice here on the side that you have plugs for the pump, for the ozonator, down here for the light. On the inside right here is where your Wi-Fi connects. So if you are going to use the Wi-Fi, which is right here, you simply plug this Wi-Fi into here, and then of course run the ribbons out through these little slots here and connect up to Wi-Fi. And so this system is very easy to install all your accessories to, and then simply, of course, you bring your electric in here. On this side, the system operates on 220 with a maximum of 50 amps. This is an 8 kW heater, and we'll talk in just a minute why we went to 8. The original system started out with 12, and we found out that we were better off from an efficiency standpoint to go back to 10, and so we went back to 10 on the original systems. This is an 8. Because of the length of the system and the type of coil system, it's amazing how efficient this heater really is. And we feel like that it will do almost as much as the 10 kW. Now, if you want a 10 kW heater, you can special order it from us, and we will put a 10 in this for it's not an expensive thing. We don't have a price today actually as to how much more it would be, but we can actually build you a system with a 10K that will still fit in the same amperage level of 50 amps that this system operates off of. And so we find that this system is going to be very efficient for you, operate very well, and you're going to love it. Back to the heater, we have found that, and after all these years of experience, we have found that most every building has what we call ambient temperature. Naturally, in the winter, the ambient temperature is less. In the summer, it's higher. It probably averages somewhere throughout the year of around 75 degrees. And so what we have done in the design of this system is, rather than have this coming off and on and off and on and off and on and off like the other system did, we feel like that the best thing for you to do in the setting of your system is to set it on about 75 to 80 degrees to where that would be the temperature that it would be at all the time. When you have a baptistry on 80 degrees, in fact, here in the South, 80 would sometimes be a low temperature comparing to what the ambient temperature is in the building. But we recommend that you set your system to continually stay on about 80 degrees. We also recommend that you set, in fact it comes preset from the factory, with four-hour run times for your filtration and your purification. You can change that if you like, but it comes preset for that. Now basically what's going to happen is, because this pump operates and the ozone generator operates on less than 2 amps, and when the heater comes on, which will be very seldom, you can basically have a water temperature of around 80, which is bearable to baptize in if you wanted to leave it right there. But very quickly you can punch in 92, which is what we recommend for the perfect baptismal temperature, or you can take your smartphone and you can punch in 92, and in just a little while it will have it up to the 92 degrees, and then when you're finished baptizing you just simply return it back to the 80-degree temperature. And we feel like that is better than trying to fight the timing and all the various things that you deal with with a 7-day clock. Okay, also we have now come up with, as I told you, we've come up with a new ozone system. The original ozone system operated by ultraviolet radiation, in other words ultraviolet light. This one here operates off of corona discharge. And this little device right here is your corona discharge unit, which provides a safe amount of ozone to be injected into the system. We also have a very, very great pump, air pump, that is very quiet, and in fact you won't even know it's on, and it pumps air in through the corona discharge unit and out into this little fitting right here, which is also a check valve. Then you connect this little plastic hose to this check valve and you run it up to the plastic pipe that comes up off of the jet, and you put this fitting here into your plastic pipe and you connect the hose to the plastic pipe, which then injects it into the water. So this makes no noise. The pump is so quiet you can't hardly hear it. So basically the system being on is not going to in any way be objectionable to you. And this is one of the great features of this. Another feature about this is the fact that this, we make this where you can take it off, is that this does not have a bulb. The previous system had a bulb and a ballast, which could eventually and would eventually need to be replaced. This is just about as permanent as you can get. This is simply a electronic strip in here that creates the same thing as that happens when it lightnings during a thunderstorm. So you're going to love this, and what you would do is you would mount this somewhere on the wall under your baptistry steps right close to your system, and then you simply snap your cover back on, shut it, and then you plug this in to the unit as we showed you earlier. Again, this plugs in. Again, the pump plugs in with a quick disconnect. So everything is very, very easy to put together. Now with the system, we're also going to furnish you with chemicals. Some people say, is your system chemical free? Well, let me just say this to you. There's no such thing as dealing with water without dealing with some type of chemical aspect. Our system totally purifies the water, so you don't have to worry about the water ever being contaminated. Our system will kill herpes, AIDS, strep, viruses, flu viruses, whatever. So it's going to give you absolutely safe water. In fact, the water in the baptistry would be safer for you to drink than your tap water. And since we've been in the business since, actually back in 1981, I started in the ozonation business. Since then, all of the bottling companies have all gone to this same process to purify water. There's a couple other things that you should consider. There is a fast fill spout, which comes in a little package like this. And this is what you would put your water in when you fill your tank. This little spout comes with some expansion rings in the back for spacers, to where you put your fitting in and gives you spacers to get the right distance for your threads. This would go to the wall of the baptistry. If this was the wall of the baptistry, it would go just over the upper edge, shooting down like this, and as you can see, it's nothing that you're going to cut your head on or whatever. You can also put a shower wand on it if you want to rinse your baptistry for some reason. And we sell these as an option when you buy your system, so I would highly recommend that you buy that as an option. The second thing that we highly recommend that you buy when you buy your baptistry system is that you buy an overflow fitting. These are $19.95, very, very economical, and look like the other fittings of the system. You mount this over the wall approximately 6 inches from the water level, or from the top of the baptistry, plumb it in to go past your drain valve into your sewer. Then also, if you buy the tank from us, we're going to offer you to build an auto level control into your baptistry. At the present time, they're selling for $159.95, or you can buy one that you can add on. Now, this one is not put together yet, and one of the reasons for that is we want to show you what is inside. When this is put together and sold to you, this is just a regular commode valve, which is easy to replace if something goes wrong, and doesn't have complicated parts that you can never get. You can go to a Lowe's or Home Depot and buy that for approximately $8, and you can replace it if something goes haywire. And then you would take this and you attach it to the wall of the baptistry. This will come with some metal straps that you tighten it, screw it to the wall of the baptistry or to the wall of your framework, and then you adjust it up and down, or you can also adjust this right here, slide this ring up, and you can adjust this out, up and down right here. Now, it'll also come with, this fitting will be in the bottom of it, which the tube will then go to your baptistry. We furnish you with the tube. This goes through the wall of the baptistry, and the tube hooks to this. So basically, by gravity, water will flow through this fitting up into the cylinder, and then, like in your commode tank, cause the float to go up and down. When your water drops down, it will turn the water on, replace the water until it gets back up to the level that it's supposed to. And so this is tremendous, because every baptistry is going to have evaporation. I mean, that's just the way it is. In fact, in the hot summer, I have seen cases where you could actually have as much as 1 inch evaporate out of your tank. And so by using this system, it keeps it at the level that you set it at. You don't have to worry about it. It's just one less thing you have to concern yourself about your church upkeep. And so we highly recommend that you buy the fast fill spout, you buy the auto level control, and you buy the overflow. We also offer, at the present time, $69.95 for a skimmer kit, which will come with an isolation valve like this, and the skimmer kit can be put at the water level of your tank to where it actually skims the top of the water off for dust and things that might float, to keep them from settling on down into your water and having to be filtered out at the bottom. And if you have especially if you have a larger tank like a double entry, I highly recommend that you get the skimmer. And when you get down to like an Easy 30, it's not necessary. We do sell them for the Easy 1s, but once you get to the Easy 1 and above, we recommend that you put a skimmer on the baptistry for those purposes. Now, we want to explain to you something about water care. There is no such thing as having a baptismal tank with no care to it at all. Our system basically will keep the water pure and clean, and you can read a letter in the bottom of the water at all times, providing that you do what we require you to do. There's two basic enemies to your baptismal tank and to your system. And the main enemy is calcium. Cities put a lot of calcium in the water. Some areas the calcium is just natural in the source of the water, and you'll always be able to tell when you have a calcium issue because around the top water line of the tank you begin to get a ring, and it will get a little sandy feature to it, and when that happens then you have a serious calcium issue in your tank. One way to avoid this 100% is to go to a pool store, spa store somewhere in the area and buy this product called Botec. This will save your system, make it last for years. Those who use this product do not lose pumps, do not lose heater coils and so forth, because calcium is the enemy of pumps and anything that's metal. It will also build up a film on the inside of your pipes and so forth. I could show you one that we took apart here a couple of weeks ago, and it actually was caked almost 1/8 of an inch thick with calcium. It just flaked off in big pieces. You don't want that. So find this product called Botec. And if you have a baptistry now and you have calcium issues such as a sandy surface and so forth, you can put this in the water, run the system continually for maybe 3-4 days until that softens, and then you can rub it off. So you're going to use this product for two things. Number one, to get rid of calcium that's already attached itself to your tank and to your system, but then also as a preventative. Just read the instructions. You're going to put roughly a cupful of this in a baptismal tank, and you will only need to do it again whenever you change your water. Now you say, with our system, do you need to change the water? Technically, no. You could leave the water in for years and years to come. But we do recommend that you drain your baptistry every couple of years and give it a good coat of wax. If you buy your baptistry from us, we're going to recommend that you buy it with an AquaGuard finish, which creates a clear coat protection against corrosion, against a lot of things in the tank. And if you are going to keep water in your tank all the time, you definitely need to buy the AquaGuard finish from us. But anyhow, with the AquaGuard finish and with the Botec in your water and with our system, you're going to have the most minimal care of any system you could ever have in your church. Now also, the second enemy to water and to your tank is what we call pH. There's a saying in the water industry that high pH gives, low pH eats. Now you don't want either situation. If you've ever been in a creek and noticed that the rocks were slimy, I can promise you that if you took the pH of the water, you would find it had a very high pH. If you went in a creek and it had very sandy, rough rocks, I would guarantee you that the water was low pH. Now the same thing can happen in your baptistry. If you get a high pH, then your steps and so forth and the surface of the baptistry is going to become slick, even sometimes slimy. If your pH is too low, then it can actually start eating the finish off of your baptistry, and if it gets low enough, it can cause your baptistry fiberglass to blister. So you don't want either one of these situations. So to help you avoid that, we furnish you with some chemicals to help you get started in the process of keeping it right. We furnish you with a test kit. You'll only need the pH side of the test kit, and we recommend that you keep the pH at 7.0. Most pools, spas, they keep it 7.4. But we have a very good reason why we recommend 7.0 on your pH. If your pH is low, then you will use the spa up that we furnish you with the system. If the pH is high, then you will use the spa down that we furnish with the system. And you'll do this prior to putting in any other kind of chemical into the water. Okay? When you first fill your tank, you will want to put in a capful of this Robo Blue. What it will do is it will take this filter, which will filter down to 100 micron, and by putting a capful of this in the water, it will coat this filter and bring it from 100 micron to 1, which is the same filtering position as diatomaceous earth. And what all that means to you is that this product will cause your water to be just absolutely crystal clear instead of having a cloudy look to it. Now, we also furnish you with a filter clean product. To clean your filter, you're going to do that every 6 months. You're going to take this filter and you're going to rinse it with a water hose as much as possible. Get it as clean as you can. You're going to put it into a bucket of water. In that bucket of water, you're going to add 1/3 of a bottle of this filter clean. You're also going to take this dichlor product, which is a chlorine product, and take just a pinch of it and put it in the water. You're going to soak that filter for 12 hours. Then you're going to take the filter out. You're going to rinse it again very thoroughly, turn the filter over, put it back in the water for another 12 hours, and after that take the filter out, rinse it off, and set it somewhere where it can drip dry. And then when it drips dry, the filter is good and clean, it'll be ready for the next one. By furnishing you with 2 filters, you just simply take the clean filter, put it in here, take the dirty one out, and clean it, and just keep cycling the filters. Now also, with water, many people misunderstand this thing called algae. Algae is like saying aquatic vegetation. So vegetation in the water will grow whether the water is pure or whether the water is filthy. It really has very little relationship to that, because algae feeds off of the presence of carbon dioxide in the water. Because our system actually injects ozone into the tank and then eventually reverts back to oxygen, which is O2, the presence of carbon dioxide is so small that algae has a very difficult time ever getting enough fertilizer, which is what makes it grow, to begin to grow. However, we do know that because of there being spots in the tank that maybe don't get the circulation that the rest of it gets, you could have a spot that has a little bit of the carbon dioxide in it and begin to grow algae. So to prevent that, we ask you to take this product that we furnish you with the original system and take just a little bit of it, about that amount right there, and scatter it into the water about every 2 weeks. And so that way you prevent algae from ever getting a hold in your tank. So if you do all the things that we have recommended by having this Cadillac system that we have here, here's what's going to happen. Number one, you're going to have crystal clear, safe water all the time. You're only going to have to change and clean the filter once every 6 months. You don't have to concern yourself with disease, herpes, AIDS, strep, viruses, and all those things being transferred to somebody else. You're not going to be able to buy a system like it anywhere in the country. You're just not going to do it. We have been the only one that has been successful in systems on the Baptismal System 1. Other companies have come and gone and their products don't hold up. They don't get the service. In fact, we just got a letter from a church. We're going to put it online on our website. And this letter was just extremely complimentary about our service, about they could call me if they had an issue, a problem, whatever, and they would get an answer. So we do our very best to service our customers. By the way, this new system will come with a 2-year warranty instead of, like the other system, a 1-year warranty. And one of the reasons why we can do this is because we know that this system here with the titanium heater and so forth is just superior to the one that we were able to furnish with the other system. So when you consider buying a heater for your baptistry, you might be able to buy just a heater that would just circulate for somewhere around $600. You might could put some components together, a filter and different things, and maybe for somewhere around $1,200-1,500 you might could come up with something that would to a certain degree keep your tank. But we would really like you to consider this system because of the longevity of it. As I said, we've been in business for about 26 years plus, and these systems are still out there working, and we expect that these systems will do the same. So when you consider something that you're going to spend a lot of money installing, you're going to install a baptistry that you want to stay nice, you want your system to continue to work. When I first began to work with baptismal tanks and systems, I was pastoring a church in Jacksonville, Texas, and I bought 2 heaters, spending $600 a piece, and put them in to try to heat our tank when we had baptismals. However, I found that the first heater went out in 6 months, second one went out in 12 months. I kept patching them and finally gave up. In fact, finally, this is what caused me to design a system to begin with for our own church baptistry. And then our church board said that we needed to do this publicly for the other churches around the country. So we've been doing that all these years. So you will, even though you're going to spend more money originally, long term you're going to spend less money. So would you rather have a greater investment in the beginning that would go long term, or do you want to have a lesser investment that you're going to turn around and have to replace in probably 3 to 5 years? So we hope that you will consider buying Baptismal System 2. If you have any questions concerning this, feel free to email me at textclear, that's TEXCLEAR, at AOL.com. And of course, if you are watching this video, you already have our website. Thank you very much. We hope to do business with you in the future. May God bless you in all of your endeavors for God.